Hey everyone, I'm Rima Jerez. Welcome back to Make Me Smart, where we make today make sense.
And I'm Kimberly Adams. Thank you for joining us for our weekly YouTube happy hour live stream. We call it Economics on Tap. It is Friday, July the 25th.
Yes, I'm so happy it's Friday. It's been a week.
Hasn't it?
Exhausted.
Hasn't it? I feel like that's every week, though, at this
It is.
point.
It is every week. It is every week. I've been especially feeling fatigued by the news cycle and everything just going on. I'm very excited to be here with you and for it to be Friday.
Yes,
What are you drinking today?
I think it's the fatigue, the news fatigue, the everything fatigue. I just didn't even have it in me to make a cocktail today or drink. So I've got a limonada, a San Pellegrino
Great.
limonada.
Love it.
I'm
It does the job.
because
great brand.
honestly, I'm probably gonna just like start winding down for bed right after the show, just because I'm
I know.
tired.
I was just texting my friend. I was like,
early.
after this, I'm going to lie down. Well, actually, I'm going to lie down after I go. One of my neighbors texted me and she was like, I feel like I haven't heard from you this week. She's also a friend. And she was like, are you okay? Do you want to go get boba? So we're going to go walk and get boba, and then I'll probably come back and just lie down.
What are you drinking?
But right now I'm just drinking a chai in my favorite purple mug, which is, if you're on the live
That's
stream,
really
you can
cool
see it.
looking.
It's really cute,
It looks
right?
Like
you can
a
like put your hand
shell
in
or
it.
something.
Yeah. It's a nice little
Yeah.
design.
All
What are folks
right.
drinking?
I see
Let's
everyone in the chat talking about Artax sitting quietly for once in his life. But what are you all drinking? Let's see if anybody I see in the Discord. Tim has a Guinness. Ryan has a Old Salem Brewing Company Let Us Slay a double hazy IPA. Okay, that's a lot. Let's see. And Kyle has an Argentinian Pinot Grigio. Becky over in the YouTube chat is drinking a Starbucks Misto because she's running errands. All right. Yes, Sarah says Artax is silently judging us for our drink choices. Davis.
It really does feel like that. He's just like staring at the camera.
Is he? He's
Or at least from
fallen
my
asleep.
perspective, it looks like that.
There's a lot of non-alcoholic drinks tonight. So Kay is
Yeah.
having a brown sugar raspberry frappuccino, Chris with an orange LaCroix, Matthew with water, Debbie with SodaStream sparkling water, coconut water, and Fruity Izzy.
That's
Yeah, you
fun.
know what? It's okay. We can have a sober happy hour today,
Yes.
except for
I feel like
Aurora with her
most- yeah.
estate Chardonnay.
I feel like all my Fridays with you are sober.
What's your news,
I don't
Rima?
drink myself, but do you want to go first? Actually, I feel like you're just newsier.
Sure. So Sabri was on the show the other day talking about us finally getting some trade deals, even though we didn't get our 90
Right.
deals in 90 days, but we had a trade deal with Japan, we had a trade deal with Indonesia, and we were finally getting these trade deals.
Great, yeah.
Headline in the Financial Times, cracks widen in Japan and US's interpretation of tariff trade deal. Tokyo officials contest Washington's claim that American investors assured of a vast share of profits from the joint investment. The story goes on to say that Japanese officials said there was no written agreement with Washington and no legally binding one would be drawn up after Trump administration officials claimed Tokyo would back investments in the U.S. from which American taxpayers would reap 9/10 of the profits. So,
That's not so surprising, is it? I mean,
no, we should have learned our lesson. And
I know.
Sabri was very cautious in his language when he was talking about it because he was like, it's a deal-ish, maybe. And so, yeah, I think at this point, we just need to not believe the words anymore, as we have learned in so many other sectors of government
Right.
at this point.
Did you see that picture in the CNBC article showing Trump? He had like a note card that was on the desk that was supposed to outline like a quote unquote big win, and it had like the number 400 billion. Yeah, exactly. And then it was crossed out and changed to 500 billion, and then and it was announced it was a different number.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't
and speaking,
think we should be surprised.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, but I saw also this Wall Street Journal article that, we were talking, you and I, the other day about how hard it is to determine where a cost is coming from because we can't tell like
Mm-hmm.
where tariffs are showing up and where they're not because they've been delayed, and what the economic malaise we might be feeling, like what the cause of it is. And so then there's a story in the Wall Street Journal that says Trump's tariffs are being picked up by corporate America. Neither consumers nor foreign countries are assuming much of the tariff burden, at least not yet, because basically it looks like companies are just eating it for now,
Yeah.
hoping that this will pass, but they're only going to do it for so long. And so there have been a lot of different estimates about how long these companies are going to continue to eat these costs before they start passing them on to consumers. But it looks like most of the costs of the tariffs that have actually kept kicked in are not being passed on to consumers in the way that we thought. So there's that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was reading this blog post this morning, I forget from who, and it said that what we really should be paying attention to are the import prices, like what foreign producers are charging us. And if Trump were
Yeah.
right that foreign producers will pay these tariffs, then we'd see right now a big fall in import prices to offset the tariff hikes, but that's not happening. So yeah, it seems like U.S. companies are absorbing the prices, but to your point, I don't think that's going to continue. I think eventually the consumer will absorb it. It'll get passed down, as we've been saying.
So what's your news?
So I wanted to flag an article that I came across in the Washington Post and just share some thoughts that came up while I was reading it. So the headline is, "They're rich, they're anti-Trump, and they do not want their big tax cut." And it basically gets at how more affluent voters are increasingly leaning Democratic, and there's this tension with the recently passed tax legislation because on the one hand, they stand to really benefit from it. It'll make them richer, but some of them are like, no, this is excessive. It feels wrong. Because just to remind folks, when you combine all the provisions in the tax bill, you've got roughly $1 trillion in tax cuts for people earning more than $400,000 a year, which is roughly the size of the law's cuts to Medicaid. And without getting so into the weeds of it, it basically locks in a smaller federal estate tax so people can pass on up to $15 million tax-free, or $30 million if you're a couple. And it also makes a big tax break permanent for businesses set up as pass-throughs. And it raises the limit on how much people can deduct in state and local taxes. So, I've been thinking about this topic more generally because earlier this year, I did some reporting where I talked with people from the Patriotic Millionaires. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Yeah, they're a group of very wealthy folks who are telling or really urging the government to raise taxes on the rich. They're like, please tax us. We want it. We want things to feel more fair and sustainable. We don't want this gross inequality, or at least we don't, in this case, we don't want it at the expense of people getting kicked off Medicaid. And there are a lot of, and of course I should say, like, these are not, this is just a small group of Democrats. Obviously, there are plenty of folks who very much want the tax cuts. But there are a lot of threads here that I find really fascinating. But when I was doing some of that reporting earlier this year, I'm always really intrigued by the grappling with identity that comes with this topic. Because, you've got a group of people who are increasingly aligning themselves with values related to social justice and environmental issues. But then, you've got legislation like this tax bill that puts a lot of people in a kind of moral bind. And a lot of them are younger people. A lot of them are under 50, people who inherited massive amounts of wealth. Like, I'm sure you're familiar, Kimberly, with the resource generation. I'm not sure if we've even talked about it on this show. It's like the group of younger folks. It's like this group of younger folks who have inherited lots of wealth and are like actively giving their money away. Anyway, so I talked with some of them, and this existential discomfort they feel benefiting from a system where so many people are, actively hurting, and they understand it, their wealth as a threat to democracy and global stability. And I'm rambling right now, but there's this conversation that I'm trying to get to that has like really stuck with me over time. And she told me that in a lot of ways, as she was vocalizing this discomfort, she told me that it can feel almost like a family betrayal, pushing back against your wealth or advocating for higher taxes, because wealth preservation, it's almost like a family heirloom that's passed down. It's more than money. It's like about a family's identity and legacy in some cases. And I don't know, I just find the tension behind all this really fascinating on an individual level. And
Yeah, and I mean, as many people are pointing out in the chat, people don't have to stay wealthy. They can donate to
right.
causes. They can choose to give all that money away. Often you can give away huge chunks of your wealth, and once you have that much wealth, it doesn't really make a difference. I mean, look at Warren Buffett and Bill
Yeah.
Gates and all these other foundations. They give away Michael Bloomberg. These people are giving away huge swaths of wealth, and it barely makes a dent because that's how
Hmm.
big the gap is between the extraordinarily wealthy and the rest of us. And so, you know, um,
And there's no
it
accountability in
it
philanthropy either. But yeah.
yeah, and I mean, it was fascinating looking at some of the numbers as more and more data came out about the impact of this tax bill. Is that a lot of the people who voted for President Trump and are some of his biggest supporters are in the categories that will be the hardest hit by some of these changes in the law. But that's how elections work. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's it for the news. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to play everyone's favorite game, half full, half empty.
It is game time. Drew Jostad is here to host Half Full, Half Empty. Take it away, Drew.
All right, first up this week. While it might take a trained perfumer months or years to design and test a new scent, an AI neural network can take in a prompt and generate a formula in as little as 2 days. Are you half full or half empty on AI in the fragrance industry?
This was a
was
really
in
interesting cue
reference.
that Kai did. Yeah.
Yeah, this was a conversation I think with
Where
the Verge reporter.
hmm And I just still don't quite get it. Like conceptually, that's really
Right?
hard for me to imagine a computer smelling um, or
Is that
generating
what's
a
happening?
scent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mimicking a
Yeah.
formula. I mean, it's a chemical formula, and then computers are very good at formulas. So I mean, you know what? But Denim Wizard, the neuroscientist in the chat, says half empty. So I'm going with that, half empty. Jim
Yeah,
Peck
I
says
think
it's going
there's
to
like a
smell like
small part
axe.
of me. I think there's a small part of me that's intrigued because I don't know, like the thought of creating like a hyper personalized or hyper specific scent. I don't know much about fragrances, but there was a period where I was making candles and I like wanted to get the right scent and it was so hard. And it made me really appreciate the craft and the artistry that comes with fragrance making. And,
hmm
because it is an art. Yes, it's like science, but you're also, and especially with smell, it's associated with our like memory and culture, and it's just so evocative that there is a part of me that feels really just sad at the thought of injecting something so soulless in something that is very artistic.
Romantic.
So,
Yeah, it's
and
like special.
romantic, and yeah. And then also I think about like the small business owners like who get, I mean, this is true of any industry where AI is entering, but it just crowds out so many folks. And like, especially folks who I imagine spend, I don't know how long it takes to make a fragrance, but I imagine it takes a while. And to be able to do it in seconds, I don't know. For
Although
those reasons and more, I'm half empty.
Tim Anderson says it's potentially less wasteful with ingredients making various permutations.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
Jefferson Nails says my wife is half empty. She doesn't want our AI overlords to control her smell. Fair. What's the next one, Drew?
Next up, are you half full or half empty on sending the federal government a Venmo to help pay down the debt?
Oh man.
Apparently,
This is
since
So
wild.
bleak.
1998, they've accepted gifts, and over the years, people have contributed $67 million, but Venmo is a new option.
Really?
Yeah, I
I
I saw the
wow.
chatter about this in our Slack this week, and I don't know what to do with this. It's sort of like I used to check the box on my tax returns every year to donate to like the presidential fund until I started covering campaign finance, and then I was like, nah, man, I'm not
No.
doing it anymore. It's too corrupt. And you know, I guess maybe some of these wealthy people who have extra money to spare or are trying to help pay down the debt. Sure. I mean, I guess. I mean, we already pay taxes, but you know what? No, I'm half empty on
I don't
this.
have any
This is
money to get.
dumb. We just need
No.
better tax policy. That's what we need. Better tax policy.
Oh, I can't even
All
entertain this.
right.
Just also point out apparently the federal debt is growing around $50,000 per second. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So
All right.
make your contributions, y'all, while you have time.
Get those in fast.
Get those
All
in.
right. Are you half full or half empty on this week's meme stock resurgence?
Oh,
This was on the show today about all of these different companies that are getting
right.
on the meme stock bandwagon. What was it? Krispy Kreme, Kohl's, and I forget what the
Kohl's.
third one was.
Open
Door?
Door, GoPro.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, GoPro. Right, right,
Yeah.
right. What I found fascinating about that story was how the first meme stock run, like during the pandemic, was basically
Mm-hmm.
because people had their stimulus checks and were just playing with it like
Right.
gambling. But now people are playing fast and loose with these stocks because the tariff impact wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be. And so folks, I guess that were hunkering down and thinking that all these costs were going to shoot up, and they're like, oh, it's not as bad. Let's throw money at
Right.
stocks for fun. I'm always going to be half empty on the treating investments like a game.
I know. And I spent some time when this made the news earlier this week, just scrolling through Reddit and social media, trying to get a sense of what people were saying about it, and it felt like I was reading a different language. I don't know if you've spent time on those forums, but I'm like, I don't know what half of
No.
y'all are talking about right now because there's so much like lingo and people being like, should I buy? What should I do? Like a lot of panic and yeah, I can't help but think of folks who just know very little about this space or haven't, traded before and are losing a lot of money or,
It
I am
reminds me of the
empty.
brief window during the pandemic when Clubhouse was popular. I don't know if anybody remembers that, the place where you could log in and like have all these audio conversations. And I did listen in on some of the, stonk, what did they call it? The stonk stuff. During that period. I don't
Right.
know. Throwback to when we made the cocktails that were themed after the run of meme stocks. Well, I made the cocktails. Kai and Molly laughed at me while I drank them.
I admired them.
Anyway, what's the next one, Drew?
Next one's the listener poll.
Okay, everybody ready in the YouTube chat?
All right. We have imported foods vulnerable to impending tariffs. So some restaurants are either stocking up or switching to local suppliers. Are you half full or half empty on trying to tariff proof the menu?
I mean, if they're investing in local producers, I see that as a good thing. I don't think I read that specific story.
I imagine that's going to be hard though, depending on like what kind of food you're talking about. Like that wouldn't be available like to everybody.
Yeah.
True.
There's not a lot of American cardamom growers.
Cinnamon. I randomly in my local grocery store, they've started carrying like longan and lychees, which they haven't in the past, and I 100% bought them and like sat on my couch and like ate an entire box of longan, and I was so happy about
that's
it.
fun.
But I guess those can come from Hawaii, but they didn't. They came from somewhere in South America. But anyway, I'm gonna be positive about people choosing to support their local agriculture community, but I don't think that. I think our global supply chain, especially when it comes to food, is so heavily integrated. That's tough to do. But
What are folks saying in the chat?
let's see. People are talking about
I'll be
seasonal
at the
menus
farmer's
making a
market.
comeback. Ryan pointing out we don't have sugar cane, but you can get American sugar from sugar beets. Let's see. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of more of
is-
the like half empty takes.
Yeah, I don't have a
Yeah,
reason to be half empty. I'm going to say half full. Let's see what everybody else says.
yeah,
Let's check
I'm
the
half
poll. We
full
only have
on this.
95 votes. Come on, y'all. Vote.
Put your votes in.
Do my vote. It looks like 81% of folks saying that they are half full, with 19% half empty.
Nice.
Yes.
All right,
Seasonal
we are done.
and local.
I'm gonna go to the farmers market this weekend. Seeing these comments is
Okay.
inspiring me.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, that's that's a wrap on this week. We will be back on Monday, and in the meantime, you know how to reach us. So if you have anything that you want to send our way, email us at makemesmart@marketplace.org, or you can leave us a voicemail at 508 UP-SMART.
Let's give the cat a treat.
Aw, you did such a
Wake
great
him
job.
He was so good. Make Me Smart is produced by Courtney Bergseeker. Today's episode was engineered by Jake Cherry.
The team behind the YouTube live stream is Emily McCune and Antoinette Brock. Daisy Palacios is our supervising senior producer. Nancy Fergali is executive producer of Marketplace Shows. And Joanne Griffith is our chief content officer.
Yes, Artax was on his best behavior for everyone.
He truly was. I don't know where Sim Sim is, though. She should make an appearance.